All right, welcome everybody to our virtual college exploration for all Ohio students, sponsored by Ohio Association for College Admission Counseling and StriveScan. Thank you, first of all, for joining us. Just have a few housekeeping items before we get started. My name is Addison Mills from the University of Kentucky. I'm facilitating this session. You won't be hearing from me other than to say hello and then to close things out at the end. You'll be hearing from our three panelists after I finish these housekeeping slides. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. You cannot live chat, so just use that Q&A to ask your questions. Your camera and microphone are automatically set to off, and the panelists cannot see or hear you. All you can do is see or hear the panelists. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule of at oacac.org. There are so many sessions that you can take advantage of, sessions like these panelists are giving, and then individual college sessions for information on those institutions. This presentation is also being recorded, and you will be able to access those within about a week at the same website, oacac.org. And I'd like to turn it over to our presenters to introduce themselves and get things started.
Good afternoon, welcome. Very excited that you are here. My name is Jen Wanning. I'm the Regional Admissions Counselor at Marian University in Indianapolis. You'll learn more about Marian and just lots of stuff about out-of-state admissions, but I cover all of Ohio, Northern Kentucky, and most of the United States. So welcome, we're super happy you're here. I live in Cincinnati and recruit then obviously all of Ohio. Been doing this for now almost 7 years. So look forward to speaking to you today. Kelly?
Hello everyone, my name is Kelly Watson and I am a recruiter for the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I have been with Alabama for 12 years now. So hopefully I will be a great resource for all of those who are looking down south, as well as I'm very familiar, of course, with other universities throughout the U.S. So for this panel purposes today, can give you some information about other areas too. So welcome. I do cover all of Ohio. I'm based in Cincinnati. So if we start to do some regular visits again, I may see you in person. Otherwise, I'm doing a lot of things virtual this fall. So good to have all of you on board today.
All right, hey y'all, my name is Hannah Zimmerer and I'm the regional representative for University of South Carolina in Ohio. So just like Jen and Kelly, I'm located in Cincinnati all year round. So I endure all of the Ohio weather just like y'all. Kelly and I don't get to dive into the nice southern climate very often, but we do get to go visit our schools quite often. Same with Jen. So I am in this role to help Ohio students and basically be a resource for y'all. So like Jen said and Kelly said, if things start to go back to normal a little bit and we can start meeting in person, I'd love to meet y'all in person. That's the reason I live in Ohio. So really excited to be a resource for you today and then throughout your college search if you have any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and start us off here. So if Kelly and Jen want to turn off their videos or whatever y'all want to do, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. All right, let's see if I can get my technology to work today. Today we're going to talk about, for one, just reasons why you would want to go out of state for college, some benefits and some opportunities of going out of state for college. And then we're going to talk about, is going out of state right for you? Some things to think about as you start to make your college decisions, and some things to really consider from financial aspects to traveling aspects and things like that. And then we're going to dive into some myths and concerns, which are kind of fun. Some commonly asked questions that we always get about going out of state for college. So starting off here, we really just want you to know that no matter where you attend, attending an institution of higher education is a great way to expand your horizons. There's no doubt a great selection of schools in Ohio for you to choose from, but there also can be many benefits to considering an out-of-state institution as well. There's an amazing selection of colleges and universities all over the world, over 17,000 to choose from and over 4,200 right here in the United States. So expanding your search can definitely increase your options a little bit outside of Ohio. These different institutions will definitely vary in size, location, setting, affiliation, so many other things to think about. And that's what Kelly's going to dive in with you today about. And then what I'm going to talk about is basically the benefits of exploring schools away from home. So from personal benefits to academic ones. So that's what you're looking at right now. College is really a great time to take a leap and try living in a new place. It's a short-term commitment that you can make while you're young, and you're not just moving to a new place all by yourself. You're going to have a whole support system with your college or university behind you. So that's a great way to be able to live in a new place, but without diving in all by yourself. A new location is a great time for adventure and personal growth. You're not only going to have an academic experience at your college, but you're going to have the opportunity to experience really a newfound independence, where you can learn about different regional customs, different cultures throughout the country, lots of different food and vocabularies, a new diverse environment. So for example, in the South, when students come from Ohio to the South, you're going to learn the Southern slang and the culture down there. You're going to learn all about Southern food. If you're not a barbecue fan, you will be. If you're not into grits or pimento cheese, you will be. So you really get to know the food and the culture down there. So that's one really great reason to be able to go out of state, is you kind of get your home culture and you get to experience another one as well. It's important to remember that this is your journey, and it's okay to look at schools different from your friends or your classmates. Each student is really looking for something different, so it's a great time to gain some independence and learn some new things. And I promise good friendships will last through college and beyond. Even if you go to different schools in different states, you can always visit your friends at their college campuses too. Another great thing to think about is going away for school also really helps you understand where you came from and how you grew up. You can start to think about, how does my hometown and my community contribute to my personality and my character? So that gives you some really great time to step out of your comfort zone and get some personal growth and reflection on where you want to be and what goals you have for your future. Students also use this opportunity quite often to expand their personal and professional networks. So having an alumni network from an institution outside of Ohio will be a really helpful tool in your future to help you find jobs, maybe informational interviews, job shadowing programs, things like that. So having an alumni network outside of Ohio could be a great benefit for you as well. There's also a lot of regional benefits, such as preferred climate. So some students in Ohio are over the cold. They want to come down to a warmer climate. Some people love a good snowfall, and they might want to go see Jen over in Indianapolis. So it's really up to you, and that's a great way, going out of state, to experience new climates in different areas of the country. Overall, different schools really excel in different programs as well. So that would be another reason to go out of state, and it would be beneficial for you. For example, some schools have accelerated master's programs that maybe you wouldn't be able to find at home. Or for example, University of South Carolina is #1 in international business. I know Alabama has a create your own major program that's new. I know at Marian, they just opened a brand new osteopathic medical school. So there's a lot of different things that not every state has. So you can definitely dive in and find specific academic areas in regions that you're interested in studying in. You may also find that an academic program that you're kind of interested in is more of a regional expertise. So for instance, in marine biology, if you're interested in that, those programs tend to be close to the coast. Maybe you're interested in turf management. That's would be more of an urban school setting. If you're interested in hospitality, maybe looking at places that have high tourism rates. So things to think about as you're looking at colleges, and Kelly's going to go more in depth into how to look for these and different aspects of colleges to look at. But these tips can be extremely beneficial when you're working on expanding your network and looking at out-of-state colleges. So now I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to dive deeper into the college search and if going out of state is right for you.
Hi, everyone, and I think Hannah's going to change my slide for me. I want you all to think about when deciding if it's right for you to go out of state, think about your ideal school. When you're thinking a dream college, what are those characteristics in the college that you're looking for? Do you want it to be public or private, a religious university, or an HBCU? Local or far away? Urban, small town, rural? Also, the familiarity versus the unknown. I have one student who came to Alabama because he thought it was a bigger challenge. He didn't know anything about it, about the area in the South. There weren't a lot of students from his school that went, so it would be more unknown than going to a school close to home. Or do you want something where your father and your uncle and your grandmother all attended and have that legacy there? Also think of the busyness of the area, big city, or what activities are happening in town. Is there an amphitheater, a concert venue? Is there a lot of businesses for working, getting part-time jobs while you're in school that are in that same town, and the businesses that are there? Think about the size of the school that you want. There are large universities. Alabama is one of those. South Carolina is a large university. In Ohio, think Ohio State or the University of Cincinnati. Medium schools, typically up to 15,000 people. Xavier University and Bowling Green State University are both examples of those medium-sized schools. Or a smaller institution, both Marian University and Denison University are good examples of those. They're up to 5,000 students. Classes, labs, research. Think of all the different variety of class options. Even, do you want the opportunity for independent study? What type of interaction do you want with your faculty? Do you want to be able to go to their offices at all times, to just have professors, to have professors and TAs? Do you want those faculty involved in your clubs and activities, and maybe even living in some of the residence halls? Think about honors programs, tutoring, and other special assistance that may be available. What activities do you want? What ones do you participate in high school, and what ones are you looking at in college? Are athletics important, or campus ministry, community service, study abroad, honors, maybe a marching band or a dance program, sororities and fraternities? When you think of that dream school, your right fit may not be here in Ohio. It might be, but you may need to look outside of the state for all of those. Give you some details about our three schools in regards to their characteristics. University of Alabama, we are a large public research university located in a small city. We have 38,000 total students, including our law and graduate schools. 33,000 of our students are undergrads. Over 200 academic programs for undergraduates, including engineering, business, education, nursing, all the arts and sciences, and pre-professional programs, pre-med and pre-law. We also have 7 honors programs. We're in the NCAA Division I Southeastern Conference. You may know us as the Crimson Tide. We have over 600 student organizations. We're #1 in the SEC and #2 nationally for internships. Our employers are all over the US, including Procter & Gamble, Warner Media, and Mercedes-Benz. And we're located in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is 45 minutes from Birmingham. Marian University is a little different from us. So they're going to give you a small Franciscan Catholic liberal arts private school in a big city. Over 3,500 students, including students in their medical school. The undergraduates are 2,500 of that population. Top majors at Marian include nursing, health sciences, and business. They're in the NAIA for sports, and their teams often compete for the national championships. You may know them as the Knights. Multiple clubs and activities for students to get involved with, opportunities for jobs and internships in Indianapolis with companies like Eli Lilly, Rolls-Royce, and Salesforce. They have a small campus feel. Campus is tucked away in a neighborhood about 10 minutes from downtown Indianapolis. And then the University of South Carolina, which is another large research-based public institution. It's in a medium city, and there are a lot of ways at the University of South Carolina to make it feel like a small school as well. University of South Carolina has 27,000 undergraduate students. Their top majors include international business, psychology, engineering, sports management, and health sciences. They're again part of the Division I Southeastern Conference for athletics. You may know them as the Gamecocks. Some of their top employers include Disney, Boeing, and the Bank of America. The University of South Carolina is located in Columbia, South Carolina, which is about 1.5 hours from the beach and the mountains. Next slide, Hannah. So things for you to consider when you are looking at your colleges and whether you might go to an out-of-state school. High school course requirements. For any college that you look at, you are going to want to look at what their admission requirements are in regards to course curriculum. So what classes do they want you to take when you're in high school? This helps us to see maybe how challenging of a program you've had, if there are any classes within what your major that you want to go to, things like that. There might also at colleges be different requirements for different majors. So an engineering major may have some different high school requirements than a history major. Look to, will they allow any substitutions or waivers? So for example, most schools will have a history requirement and a foreign language requirement that they want you to take in high school. I know there are some students who have their foreign language in high school, though, waived. They're not required to take it because of either an IEP or another reason. Some colleges are okay with that waiver. They will accept it and say, because it was waived for you in high school, you don't need it for our admission requirements. Others will not, and they'll say you either have the option of taking it during the summer before you enroll in college, or else you can take it online via a local community college or another university still while you're in high school to meet that requirement. Another example, Alabama requires 4 years of social studies for admission. However, we understand that in the state of Ohio, you are only required to take 3 years of social studies to meet the Ohio graduation requirements. Because of that, we allow students to take an extra year of foreign language and substitute that for the 4th year of social studies. Also, all 3 of our colleges, Marian, South Carolina, and Alabama, all require you to have at least 3 sciences in high school. For Alabama, 2 of those must have lab components. For South Carolina, all 3 of those sciences have to have lab components to them. Marian, they require 3 science classes, but if you're looking at anything in the health sciences field, they'd like you to see 4 sciences. So kind of think about all those. What are those requirements in high school? Admission rates. Sometimes the university will have one admission rate for the entire undergraduate population, all those incoming new freshmen. Sometimes their out-of-state admission rate is going to be different than their in-state tuition or admission rate. So check out if they're the same for out-of-state and in-state students. Do they have a cap on out-of-state students? To give you some examples, Texas A&M typically has only allowed 5% of their incoming class to be from out-of-state. So most recent numbers that are available publicly showed fall 2017. They haven't released, at least what I can find publicly, percentages past then, but the prior years to that, it was also 5% out of state. University of Virginia is known for having 1/3 of their freshman class be from out of state. For that, it means that the last time they publicized all their criteria and showed their rates, 24% of the out-of-state students who applied were admitted. However, 44% of the students from Virginia who applied were admitted due to demand. So they state on their website they seek to have a 2/3 majority of Virginia students in their student populations. A couple years ago, it was 69% from Virginia, 31% out of state. Schools have different views of why they will support out-of-state students or why not. Some say they're serving the state by having just a few Ohio out-of-state students. So they want to focus on their in-state students and let the state students have all the spots. Others believe that they're serving the state by geographic diversity. Students learn to thrive in a dynamic and flexible world surrounded by that mix. So they really want to have students from all over the country. I think for all 3 of our schools, there is not a cap on out-of-state students. We'll have as many as are qualified and want to attend. Just to give an example, public flagship universities, University of Alaska at Fairbanks, University of Texas at Austin, and University of Georgia had the most in-state students In the fall of 2016, they had either 88 or 89% in-state each. The University of Vermont had the least number of in-state students in their population, which they only had 21% of their students in-state. Finally, think about transportation to the college. How far away is it? Can freshmen have cars? So how are you going to get there? Are you allowed to have your own car? Are there other students from your area that you can carpool with? How close is it to an airport or a train or a bus station? Also, for move-in, how do you get all your things there? Are you going to have to take them on an airplane, or can you drive down even if it's, with your parents and they're driving back? Can you ship things to the school ahead of time for move-in? And do they have a place to hold them for you? In the summers, do you have to take everything back each summer? Or does the university or somewhere local have places for you to store your belongings? So those are all some important things to think about if you're looking at out-of-state schools. I'm going to hand it over to Jen, who's going to finish our presentation part off for you.
Thank you, Kelly. Now I'm going to talk about, I'm sorry about my dog, but now I'm going to talk about how to pay for this, right? This is probably like our biggest concern is how is it too expensive? I already had one question in the chat that said, why are out-of-state schools so expensive? So we definitely want to talk about the opportunities for scholarships, institutional and external. So really the first step to that, I'm going to talk a little bit about the FAFSA. So if you're not aware, the FAFSA is the federal form that you need to fill out in order to qualify for loans and any kind of federal aid. And that federal aid follows you wherever you go. So whether you stay in Ohio or you go out of state, that federal aid will go with you, right? But really the bulk of it will probably come from institutional aid, and all of our schools do institutional aid a little bit differently. At Marian, we are test blind. So that means we don't require the ACT or the SAT this year. So we literally base everything off of your GPA, your curriculum, and we kind of take a look at you as a person. And then we will determine scholarship levels from there. Alabama, they have generous scholarships for out-of-state students, usually starting at a 3.5 with like a 25 ACT, and then a 3.0 with a 27 ACT. As of right now, they are still requiring test scores, but as things progress, as we know, this year has been a little crazy. So they are still, evaluating that, and they may consider changing, but as of right now, they're still requiring it. They also offer some other scholarships for national merit finalists, African Americans, Hispanic, rural and small town recognition scholars. So there's definitely some opportunities there as well. They do have a separate scholarship application. So you can, then that's reviewed with a resume and short answers. So that is awesome. South Carolina is doing a holistic scholarship review, and they do not require test scores this year. So 85% of their Ohio students received merit-based scholarships last year. And many of those essentially included in-state tuition. So when you're looking at out-of-state schools, some schools do a reciprocity. So if you have a certain GPA, you'll get the in-state rate. Some schools like in Northern Kentucky will do that when you're across the river in Cincinnati. So that's something to take a look at when you're searching for schools. There's also some other unique scholarships as well. So you should definitely take a look at those. At different schools. We have a service faith-based scholarship since we are a Catholic university. So that stacks on top of whatever academic money you may get. Other schools have other types of things, any types of talent awards. So marching band, speech and debate, choir. And then obviously if you're athletics, we're NAIA. So we do give scholarships for athletics. South Carolina and Alabama are D1, so they also do that. So those are opportunities as well to help pay for school. So those are kind of the institutional type aid. And then if you look at external, there's plenty of opportunities as well. If you're in the Cincinnati area, we have the Cincinnati Scholarship Foundation. Check with your guidance office. That's a great resource for you in order for you to find out all those local scholarships. And those are what I like to call gravy, right? You get your financial aid package. This is the cost that they say it's going to be. You have some outside scholarships and you stack those on top, and So it's just a little extra that goes a long way to help pay for things and make it much more affordable. So that's definitely something to think about. So it's too far away. So that's a big concern sometimes, that going too far away. Marion's about 2 hours from Cincinnati, 3 from Columbus, 2.5 from Dayton, that kind of thing. Alabama and South Carolina are about 8-hour drive from Cincinnati. So they are a little further away, but is it so bad? You're in a different part of the country. You get to learn new things, and the things like Hannah talked about, all the opportunities that you have. So yeah, you might not be able to come back for dinner. When I talk about time for dinner, you might not be able to make it for a certain special birthday, but you'll be able to come home for the weekend. You can certainly visit. So it's not like you're going forever away. It doesn't necessarily have to be a plane ride. So, but that may be something you want. So there's definitely something to weigh as you're looking at schools. So will I ever come back home again? That's the question, right? Will I always get an internship in the city I'm in? Are there jobs after graduation? Where will I go to do graduate studies? So I know for us, Indianapolis is just a couple hours away. And so again, a big city. So a lot of students do end up staying in Indianapolis, but several come back to Ohio to teach, to be in healthcare, to go to graduate school, whatever the case may be. And I know that's the same with Alabama and South Carolina as well. So it opens up your opportunities to see where maybe in the world you can get an internship, where you can have a job after graduation, and it allows you to make a decision about what part of the country that you may want to live in. So, and I'll be the only student not from South Carolina, Alabama, or Indiana. Not true, for sure. South Carolina, they have about 50% of their freshman class come from out of state, and 60% of Alabama's come, and about 20% of Marian's. So, and you will find, like Kelly was talking about, her different schools as well, just the amount of students that are out of state and how many that you will find to carpool with, to be friends with, or have things in common, for sure. So we really do try to make things less expensive, more affordable for you. So definitely, if you have more questions on that, we can certainly address those in the Q&A that's coming up. But really, the opportunities at out-of-state schools, really, because we are such a global marketplace, and especially in our world today with this virtual world, we absolutely can be in contact wherever we are. So really, the opportunities to go out of state and learn something new are great. So I think we are to the end now. So I think we could probably answer some questions. If anybody has any, you can throw them into the Q&A, and we would be happy to answer those for you.
And while you're throwing those questions into the Q&A, which you can all type those into the Q&A, also wanted to mention that Jen mentioned about that some of you may want to return to Ohio for graduate school. Ohio has something called the Forever Buckeye program. It's from the Department of Higher Education in Ohio, and it's a policy that any student who has graduated from an Ohio high school, public or private, it doesn't matter, who leaves the state but then returns to enroll in an Ohio college undergraduate or graduate program, you'll still receive in-state tuition. So you'll still be considered a resident of Ohio for graduate school if you wanted to go to graduate school in Ohio, but maybe you go to South Carolina or Marian or Alabama or out in California for your undergrad. It applies to all public universities in Ohio for their graduate school.
All right, we'll go ahead and give anyone a second that wants to go ahead and jot down the contact information if you haven't already. Also, do keep in mind that these sessions are recorded. And I'm going to go ahead and change the screen over to give you just a little bit of information before we end the webinar. First of all, appreciate students, guidance counselors, family members, moms, dads, anyone who attended for this information. We will be giving you a quick survey that you will see come up on your screen. Very quick question survey that will come up right after we end the webinar. So do consider filling out that information and sending that back. Will help us improve future webinars and help Stripes Canada OACAC put on things that are even more high quality and as we continue to improve. Also, you can sign up for more sessions like I had mentioned before this session. There are so many things going on from here until October 1st. And then our second window of sessions will open up late in October going through November. So lots of information to help you make the most informed decision possible about your future college plans. We want to thank again everybody for coming as a fellow out-of-state institution that recruits in Ohio. It was excellent information to be able to share with your students, and hopefully you got something from it. Thank you guys very, very much. Panelists, great job, and we'll see you guys sometime soon.
Thanks. We do have a question.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. We have plenty of time.
Yeah. Do we have some time? Okay, great.
We do.
So I'm going to I'm guessing Kelly's going to probably be able to answer this the best. So do Ivies, so schools that are considered Ivies, do they take less out of state than normal public universities?
So that's going to vary. Some of them are going to take a ton of out-of-state students. You know, they could easily be 70% out of state. They may be 50. It really depends on the individual year and what the college's goals are. So they do look at students from across the country. They may one year decide, you know, we really need some Northerners, or we really need some people from Southwest United States. But they're going to determine their goals for the university in terms of enrollment every year. I have not read of any Ivy school who only takes 5% or 15% out of state. So they are going to vary. I would think that they'd be a little bit higher than some of those that are, you know, in those low 15, 20%.
We'll leave just a second if there are any other follow-up questions. And do keep in mind, students or anyone else watching, that you do have that contact information there available, and you can certainly feel free to reach out to any of these admissions counselors to help answer general college questions. We're more than happy to help. We do have another question in the chat.
It's a great question. Are colleges being more lenient about COVID if you have less extracurriculars and weren't able to do an internship or volunteer opportunities? Yes, we definitely understand that COVID is restricting a lot of things. However, that's not going to change if you're a senior and freshman and sophomore and junior years, you didn't do anything. We still hope and want to see during those years they were regular times. Were you involved in any clubs? Did you do anything in the community? Another thing that you could put on your applications when we're asking questions about your activities is, you know, did you help somebody and make masks during COVID? Did you, you know, check in on someone who was elderly, even through Zoom calls? You know, what did you do during that COVID time? Yes, there were a lot of restrictions, but is there anything creative that you've done to kind of expand your knowledge? And maybe that's, you know, you did a lot of research about, you know, the field of nursing, which is something you're interested in. Maybe you couldn't go to the hospitals, but you still did a lot of research into it. We still want to know what things you did, even though we understand they may not be the traditional things.
All right, any other questions? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and end the webinar there. Thanks once again, panelists, for being willing and flexible to answer those questions last second as well. Thank you for the great information. Good luck to the rest of the students for the rest of the year applying, and we'll see you guys sometime soon.
Thank you.